Greeting, Earthlings. Please join us, the Beastmen War Party, to take a look at the Coming Hunters board game of the month for April 2014. A real-time starship warfare called Space Cadet Dice Duel.
Released by Stronghold Games, this intense dice rolling team deathmatch designed by Sydney and Geoff Engelsten is the second game in the Space Cadet series.
Dice Duel is for two teams of 2, 3, or 4 players and can be played within 30 minutes of deep space combat. We will show you how to operate your vessels, but first, let's dive into the content of the box.
A game board representing the space field where the skirmish will take place.
2 starship miniatures.
Some purple crystals.
Tokens representing nebulas, asteroids, wormholes, and mines.
Tokens representing...
That's it, there's no more tokens. 12 white energy dice.
A cup and a half of multicolored dice used by the different stations of the spaceship.
2 of each different ship station's display. Not included are space fuel,
a sweet-ass starman,
more tokens. To set up the game, divide the group in 2 equal teams. Each crew member will be in charge of a certain amount of stations depending on the number of players. Set up the station as followed. This will be important for a smoother flow of gameplay.
With those stations will come a certain amount of corresponding colored dice. Place 2 mine tokens on the tractor beam display.
Place the 2 starships and the crystals on the appropriate map squares. Teams now take turn placing the asteroid and nebula tokens. They can be placed anywhere, but preferably spread evenly.
You are now ready to engage.
Don't forget that this game doesn't have any turn order. You start rolling as soon as the player shouts, "Begin."
Let's visit the bowels of the ship, shall we?
Make it so.
Our first stop brings us to the engineering room. The engineer has the responsibility to fuel the other stations with energy. Those stations cannot function unless they are given a die of their respective number. The engineer starts by rolling his dice and can re-roll as many times as he wants. 6s will always need to be re-rolled as there is only 5 other stations. When he rolls a number that another station needs, he takes this die and gives it to that station. That station may now start rolling dice, 1 per white energy die he has. Every time another station locks in a die, they give back a white die to the engineer so that he can continue distributing power. The job of the engineer can be quite a stressful one.
I need twos. Never mind twos, we need to move. I need a 5. Nothing's twos. I need a 5. I need a 5. No 5s!
I need 2s.
You wanted a 2?
Yeah, 2s. Thanks.
Next on our tour is the helm of the ship. In this station, you assume the role of the pilot. You will be rolling yellow direction dice that will dictate the trajectory of the ship. Your ship will not advance until a sequence of 3 movements have been input. Once you roll a direction that you want to input in your sequence, you log it on the board. Be careful for obstacles that will disrupt your other stations. Rolling the desired sequence can sometimes be quite the challenge.
Please, I need left. For Dio's sake, I need left. What?
Oh.
We now enter the weapon station. The job of the weaponeer is to arm the ship with powerful torpedoes that will damage the enemy. The ship can arm 4 torpedoes, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. However, you only have dice to build a total of 2 torpedoes. While rolling the red weapon dice, you will either get a nose, a body, or a tail part of the torpedo that you will lock on your board. Once you have at least 1 complete torpedo, you are ready to attack.
Now for the shield section of the ship. Your job here is to protect the ship from incoming torpedoes. You will do so by rolling blue defense dice that will be placed on one of the 4 sections of the ship. Always remember to check the grid which direction your ship is facing, so that you are able to correctly counter incoming assaults. The more dice you have on a section, the stronger the shield is.
Next, we enter the sensor station. Here, the sensor controller has two functions. The first is the weapon lock that you will need to accurately fire at the enemy's ship. This is represented by the lock symbol on the green sensor dice. The second function is the jammers, which is a way to disrupt the enemy's weapon lock system. They are represented by the jammer symbols.
Radar about to be jammed.
Last but not least is the tractor beam section. This part of the ship will enable you to deploy deadly mines and to move the enemy's ship, hopefully, in said mines. The more tractor strength you collect, the easier it will be for you to move ships.
To deploy mines, you will have to roll either an A or a B symbol. Once you've stored one of those symbols, you can at any time discard it to place the according mine on the current location of your ship.
To engage the tractor beam, you will need an amount of stored tractor strength equal or greater than twice the distance between the two ships. You can then yell tractor, and if you have enough strength, you then move the enemy's ship one space in any direction.
Now that you had the full tour, you're ready to engage in combat. Let's take a look on how to register a hit.
The weaponeer starts the combat by shouting either fire 1 or fire 2, depending on the amount of torpedoes he wants to launch. The game now is officially on pause, and you check to see if all the hit conditions are met. The first condition is that the enemy's ship is in the arc of fire. Secondly, you need at least one completed torpedo armed on that side of the ship. Then, the ship who fires must have a number of weapon lock sensors equal or greater to the distance between the ships, plus the amount of enemy jammer points. The launching ship now discards the fired torpedoes as well as their weapon locks. The ship targeted discards all of its jammer points. Now, if all conditions are met, you officially hit your target. You now have to verify if any damage has been dealt. You first verify if there was any shields on the side targeted. If there is none, you've done 1 damage. If there's 1 or 2 shields up, the weaponeer has to roll a red die to get an amount of blast symbols equal or greater than the amount of shields to successfully damage. 3 shields negate the attack completely. The enemy then discards all shields on the targeted side.
For each damage taken, the engineer will put one of its white dice on the damage tracker. The first ship with 4 damage points is destroyed.
Don't forget that you can get your very own copy of Space Cadet's Dice Duel at 25% off for the whole month of April at the Comic Hunter in Moncton, where heroes come to play. Make sure to give them a visit and see their incredible selection of board games.
We are the Beastmen War Party, reminding you that the important thing is not to win, it's to have fun and then win.
I'm having fun, bro!